Welcome to Heidi Relationships. Today, we'll read some more stories from Reddit. But before we start, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. That would help the channel a lot. Thank you very much in advance.
If you have not seen part 1 and 2, please check the links in the description. As for abbreviations, EA means emotional affair, PA means physical affair, and OM means other man aka affair partner. The first one is titled, Everything is Going Very Well. I'm 4.5 months past my separation date and thought I'd give a quick update. It's all good news. My STBXW and I sat down with our attorneys earlier this week and hammered out all of the details for a complete settlement. This was after we spent about $25,000 on attorney fees and got nowhere. My advice to anyone in a no-fault state: if you can interact amicably with your STBX, do a mediated divorce or just hire one attorney to work with both of you. 90% of the money was completely wasted on the attorneys intentionally complicating things versus trying to get to a resolution. My STBXW and I are on fine speaking terms. We've had to interact to sell the house I am living in, exchange property, etc. We're almost done there, and I'm moving into San Francisco and getting an apartment. Personally, I'm doing awesome. I'm down about 20 pounds. And nearly 4 inches on my pant size. I'm feeling great and have a very positive outlook on the future. I've been dabbling in online dating, but am more focused just on taking care of me at this point and getting settled in the city. Then I can turn on that spigot. I can't say enough how much you all have helped me through this process. Being further away now and looking back over my shoulder, I realize even more how important some of the decisions were that you helped drive me to, against my own instincts often. I'll check back in when things are final in February. Also, we are completely cordial as far as working through issues related to selling the house and finalizing the divorce, but we've not talked at all about what happened. She's never apologized, asked how I'm doing, nothing. I still haven't talked to Om. I'm not sure if they're together. I do know that Om's GF left him, and he walked away from the house they owned together. Rumor is he got an apartment, which probably means he's living with my STBXW. But my attitude is, as above, who cares? I'll eventually care purely for financial reasons, and if I find out they are truly living together I'll get spousal support adjusted downward. I've got my own life to focus on now. Karma, God, balance of energy in the universe, whatever you choose to believe in, will take care of them in the long run. They're no longer my project. It's probably worth mentioning that several people have finally come forward and said to me either that they suspected or knew what was going on. I guess they confessed to me to make themselves feel better, because it sure doesn't make me feel better to know that others have known for a long time. Edit 45. Thanks for checking in. My story has a happy ending, although my ending is really just the beginning for me. The divorce is final early next week. We filed our stipulated judgment a couple weeks ago, which court just rubber-stamped within a few days. We just have to wait for the mandatory 6-month California mandated waiting period to expire, next week. Financially, this was painful. Half of all of my assets, gone. About $3,500 a month in alimony for almost 5 years, expensive. My freedom from liars and cheaters and my newfound happiness, priceless. I am really focusing on what I still have, which is still more than adequate. I feel very blessed. Instead of what I've lost. Karma has paid me off in spades. I got a great promotion at work. I found a super sweet apartment in San Francisco that brings me great joy. I've rediscovered some great friendships that had atrophied over the course of my marriage. I've discovered cardio boxing and am in the best shape I've been in 15 years. I've recently started dating a woman who had only been a friend for several years, and now we find ourselves in a position where a different type of relationship is possible. My life is good. I'm happier today than since I don't know when. All of my friends and coworkers are stunned by my transformation into a happier, more alive person. My thinking about my ex and the OM and the cheating have evolved, too. While I am still shocked by the depth and duration of the deception, I am harboring no anger or need for revenge or justice towards either one. They made bad decisions and now they have to live with the consequences. More than anything, I feel sorry for them, as they have to live with that guilt. I'd forgive them both, but neither has said they were sorry or shown any remorse. For me, they just exist in the rearview mirror. And I'm only looking out the windshield. Edit 46. She doesn't have many close friends nearby. I got a lot of holiday cards to our old address to both of us, so I'm assuming she hasn't told that many people back on the East Coast. I talked to the husband of her closest friend, and he told me she was having a hard time dealing with my XW's lying and cheating. By the way, my divorce is final today. As a homage to this whole event, and a bit of a cleansing ritual, I went back and retread this entire thread in my journal. It's amazing to read the things I was saying and thinking before I really discovered the truth. Thanks again to all of you who contributed advice, support or tough love along the way. Edit 47. Quick update. Went to the event this past weekend and yes, the two of them were there and were very obviously together. Almost every time I saw one, I saw the other. The one time I saw just my XW we chatted very cordially. The few times I saw he saw me too and headed off in another direction. He was holding her dog, the one she got as a companion, to replace me when I left, a lot. When they were walking around together, often he'd be the one holding the leash. He's clearly making an effort to show that they are together, you know, pissing on the fire hydrant to mark his territory. What's great is that I have absolutely zero desire to get anywhere near that hydrant, and not just because it smells like piss. My new gal and a couple of her friends showed up Saturday afternoon. It's a little sad, I guess, that XW and didn't see them. The vain side of me probably would have liked that. However, a bunch of my good friends gathered around, and to a person everyone that met the new gal said the same thing, nice upgrade. Edit 48. I noticed they came in separate vehicles on Saturday, but that might just be to give the illusion that they aren't living together. My ex absolutely knows that if I find that they are living together that I will file to reduce alimony. It's a difficult decision for me. I want to not ever think about them and truly put it all far, far behind me. But yet on principle it will bother me if they are still taking advantage of me financially, so I want to pay attention if there are signs they're cohabitating. Realistically, the doesn't make much money, so even if I prove they're cohabitating, the financial analysis will show that he can't contribute much to reduce her cost of living, so I doubt I could reduce alimony by very much. While I've preached the kill him kindness mantra, it would be at least a little emotionally gratifying to put him through the ringer of having to prove to the court that he isn't worth anything and can barely support himself and certainly can't support his mate. At some level, it is just a cost-benefit analysis. Is a couple $100 a month worth me never having to think about it again, never having to re-engage with her, him? And BTW, I think new gal does look like a supermodel. Also, she is no longer STBXW, as of a couple weeks ago, she is a full-fledged ex, as the divorce is final as recognized by the state. And, to answer your question, she treats me like an old friend. Talked about how things were going at the event, wishing me good luck in my races, etc. It's so strange, but I'm fine with that, as it just makes dealing with her easier. And like I've said a few times on here already, I'm so incredibly happy with my new life, that it's hard for me to continue to harbor bitterness as to the circumstances that released me from my previous hollow relationship. Edit 49. Hey friends. 2 days ago marked 1 year since I confronted, walked out and filed. And perhaps the best indicator of how well I'm doing is that the milestone passed, and I forgot it was my anniversary. Quick status update. I'm doing great. It's almost impossible for me to believe that I tolerated so many years of subpar living in a relationship that was so unfulfilling. I'm happier and more vibrant now than I've been in 10+ years. I've been dating my girlfriend for 6 months, now, and that's after knowing her for about 9 years in a completely different context. We're talking about the long term and have even had discussions about starting a family in due course. I've shed a considerable amount of the stuff I had accumulated over the years, and I've gone through a refactoring of my priorities, for lack of a better term. I'm not focused at all on material possessions, but rather am finding joy in spending my time and resources on enjoying weekend vacations with my GF, working out, dinners with friends, bike, motorcycle rides, etc. It really is a rebirth for me. I've also had the opportunity to help others in similar situations. I've had 2 friends with wives in infidelity situations, and I've been able to apply the lessons I've learned here to support them. I also believe that I've helped to proactively save and strengthen the relationships of some of my friends by sharing with them the ideas and principles I learned in the Married Man's Sex Life Primer. Chaparral, I cannot even begin to thank you enough for turning me on to this book. I've said it before, it is the best book in the world with the worst title. I truly believe that understanding it has created a great foundation for my current relationship, and I have friends who have read it who have had similar reactions. Why don't they teach this to everyone in high school? Anyway, thought I'd do my 1-year check-in to once again thank you all for your unconditional support and tough love during a time when I really needed it. It was all worth it. Regarding the ex, no update of any significance. I suspect the OM is living with her at this point, but I couldn't possibly care less. He is a deadbeat as far as generating any income, so even if I cared enough to go after them for cohabitation, I'm sure since he provides very little in terms of financial support, it wouldn't make a difference to what I pay every month. So, I plan to just let that go. I still see her, and him, occasionally in our shared hobby. It's not a trigger for me. We're still very cordial in dealing with financial stuff, but we are interacting even on those matters less and less frequently. If I'm totally honest, I still occasionally feel like this has been simply too painless for the OM and am sometimes tempted to take some action to hand out justice. However, prudence and my track record of taking the high road kick in, and I once again trust that karma, whatever that is, will take care of him eventually. Also, he works, he just outspends his income. He's a financial disaster, can't even get a credit card. He's 48 and his parents had to co-sign so he could lease a car. My guess is that the 2 of them together will burn through the money she took from our marriage in just a couple years. Edit 50. Hey gang. While I appreciate the sentiments of how much it will bother my XW to see me with a young hottie, I'm in a very different place. I feel sorry for her. She's made some terrible decisions and the sort of selfishness she exhibits is never going to lead her to happiness. That's sad. I have absolutely positively no desire to hurt her. No desire to make her jealous. No desire to get even. No desire to focus even an ounce of attention on what is behind us. I have said before that I still harbor some frustration about how easy this has all been for the OM, and that's still there. But towards my XW, nothing. I know it might not seem rational, but that's truly how I feel. Edit 51. It's been 7 months since I last posted, so I thought I'd check in to let you all know that this is still a wonderful story with a continuing, happy ending, that I hope never ends. My GF moved in with me in November. We took a few months off work and traveled all over the world. I believe an engagement may be on the horizon. I rarely see my ex-wife, XW, anymore, but I'm still dealing with her on financial matters for another few years. The term of my alimony was just over 4 years. No triggers remain of any sort. It doesn't even bother me when I have to write the checks anymore. I just think about how much happier I am now and the incredible trajectory I'm on. Worth it. I still think about what a godsend this forum and you all were for me in a time of confusion and need. Your guidance and advice literally saved my life. Edit 52. Well gang, I think the time has finally come to put this thread to rest for good. I got married 2 weeks ago and my wife and I are expecting a baby boy near the end of the year. This is a great conclusion for the previous chapter of my life and the perfect start to the next. I will say it one last time, thank you Tam family. I often look back with incredible appreciation for all the advice, tough love and support I got here. It really made all the difference and allowed me to make the bold moves I needed to make to move from a life of simple existence in a hollow relationship to a whole new world of fulfilling love and appreciation with my girl. And before anyone says it, no prenup. I was smart in how I have segregated my finances, and the money I'm bringing into the marriage will sit aside and be there for us for retirement or for me should anything terrible happen before then. I have already told my ex-wife about my recent remarriage and impending child. She was happy for me and wished us both congratulations and the best. Mission accomplished. Edit 53. What am I thankful for today? How about the birth of my son last week? It's been a wild ride, Tam family, but the ending just keeps getting happier and happier. Mother and son are doing great, and I'm enjoying my new role as dad. I recount and am thankful for, every day, what a turnaround I've had in the last 2 years. For anyone who is going through tough times, please know that it can get better. Not just better than it is at the bottom, but better than it's ever been. Don't get caught up in the poison of holding on to anger. Let it go and move on. I wish the absolute best to all of you. Last update. Time for my quarterly check-in. Before I respond to some of the questions and posts, I'd like to say that life is good. My son is just past 4 months old and is the joy of my life. My wife and I are tired all the time, of course, but still manage to work well as a team to raise him. He's almost 19 pounds. At 4 months, a big boy. I still have to pinch myself sometimes when I think that it was only a couple years ago that my life seemed at such a low point. I hope this is an inspiration that taking the high road in a situation like mine, not focusing on revenge but rather on living well, can be a recipe for success and happiness. Don't let bitterness consume you. Now, to address some of the specific posts. Regarding ways to avoid having to interact with her, I pretty much do that. I have automated payments from my account to hers. But, because I have to do calculations every time she or I get some additional income, there seems every other month or so some little wrinkle that needs to be addressed. She gets a work bonus or a raise, I get credit for those. I get a bonus from work, quarterly, she gets a piece of that. So, I'm constantly having to email her and say, here's what the payments will be this month. None of this is a trigger for me, so it's not something I need to spend time or money trying to work around. It's just a pretty constant reminder that she still has a piece of me, and I hate that. That she gets to participate in my ongoing hard work and success sucks. I've had to rearrange my investment portfolio to avoid any sort of material gains in the next 2 years, since she gets 38% of anything that is actual income. Dividends, anything like that. To the question of whether the fact that we couldn't have kids could have led to the affair, yes and no. From what I pieced together with relative certainty, the affair started very, very close to when we first started trying, came off birth control. So, it's not like it was the result of frustration from years of trying. Was my decision to leave her rooted in the feeling that she couldn't give me children? Honestly, I can say I don't believe so. I was never the one pushing for kids. I am just not someone who had a deep-seated need to procreate. She was really the one driving that. When I got together with my second wife, my feelings about kids changed. I could see she and I, together, raising a family. I always had trouble visualizing that with my ex. So, maybe I did have those internal drives, I just wasn't with the right mate for them to surface? In any event, I maintain that the affair and our divorce was not about kids or lack thereof, but that certainly is an important context to the situation. To the question of whether I'm a doormat, just to the ones I love, that's probably a good observation. I'm not a timid person at all, but I was very timid and non-confrontational to my ex. Last update too. I'm a couple weeks late to post this, but I recently passed the 3-year anniversary of my confrontation. I thought I'd give a quick update and again thank all of you who supported me through my whole journey. Things are good. My little guy is just over 9 months old and is happy, healthy and a constant source of joy. My wife is back to work, and we recently bought a home together. While that is a joyous occasion, It has the unfortunate effect of increasing the monthly support I have to pay her because of the additional interest tax deduction I get. While I usually love California, sometimes I hate it. But that's a small price to pay, no pun intended, and it's only for 2 more years. Now that we have some space, we're talking about increasing our family size by 1 more. I hope anyone reading this post who feels like their world is crumbling and that only dark days are ahead can capture a glimmer of hope here and realize that things can turn around quickly if you take the high road and don't let spite and anger control your decisions. Last update 3. For all you longtime thread watchers, I'm thrilled to announce my second child, daughter this time, arrived happy and healthy. Amazing to think about how far I've come in the last 7 years. From unhappy in a sham of a marriage to ecstatic with an amazing wife and a couple of awesome kids. There is life beyond divorce. Final update. Annual check-in for my longtime supporters and post-watchers. My kids are now 5.5 and 1 Oh, my wife and I are doing fantastic. Life is really, really good. I don't have any news to report on the XW and her husband. As far as I know, they're still together and doing fine. I don't hear much about them anymore from common friends and acquaintances, which is fine with me. I know that's a disappointment for all those eagerly waiting for karmic revenge. My guess is, that will come in time, so hold fast. Hope you all are safe and healthy amidst the pandemic. This is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the relationship stories. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video and write a comment. I really appreciate your support and it helps my channel so much. Thank you.